there. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Reverend Linda, and with me today are my friends in panel. I have Susan Jarboe, Kristine Pass, Karen Downy, and Loy Williams with me today. And I think we've got a really good topic. But before we get to that, let's open in prayer. So we invite you to get comfortable, however that works for you. Close your eyes if you like, and let's just take a breath together. God, thank you for this opportunity to be together, to learn and grow and laugh together. Please, God, bless us in all we say and do, and bring our video to any and all who would benefit from it. Thank you, God. Amen. Okay, so my topic is from the Unity booklet, Getting Through the Hard Times. And apparently, I'm not going to be able to show that to you because of my background. I think all of us have had to get through some hard times, some challenges and things that are unexpected. And this booklet has helped me through several things. This article in particular, it's not long, I'll read it to you. It's called Wearing the World as a Loose Garment. And this was written by Reverend John Beerman. Give thanks for the tough times, because without them, we might not recognize the good times. I clung to this idea for dear life when I was asked to resign from my dream job. The grieving process ensued, and I recalled the stages of grief over and over again: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally, acceptance. I began to search for something more substantial than the thought that I needed to experience hard times for good times to reappear. I knew I had a spiritual lesson to learn. I rededicated myself to prayer and meditation. I made my prayers more sincere, not begging, but becoming totally transparent, authentic with God. I also added more time and focus to my meditations. Finally, I waited. Each life experience gave me an opportunity to discover a spiritual truth, but I didn't know what it was yet. At last, I began to sense it, to know it, and to experience it. Life does not bring tough times or good times. My life and every experience are exactly how I perceive them to be. My perceptions determine my reactions, and even more important, my emotional well-being. St. Francis of Assisi, I said that wrong, suggested that we wear the world as a loose garment. I began to visualize the peace and presence of God washing over me, saturating my conscious and my subconscious mind. I feel more open now to life events and less quick to label them as good or bad. The events are not choosing me, nor are they random. They simply are how I perceive them to be. I now intentionally bring my heart and soul to every life exchange, fully engaged whenever possible. I try not to identify a circumstance as right or wrong, but with equanimity. Of course, the life continues to throw fastballs, curveballs, and change-ups. However, I have learned to observe each pitch until it hits my outstretched glove, and then I hand it to the home plate umpire, who gently holds the ball and puts it back in play. Okay. So the reason I really like this article is when he talks about situations happen and then I label them as bad or good. I can either suffer through them or look at them joyfully, or like he did, try and understand the spiritual significance of what's going on with it. A big one was my move from California to Tennessee. It was very unexpected. In my worldview, I was going to stay in California for the rest of my life. Moving to Tennessee wasn't even in the scope of what I was looking for. But my whole family decided to move for a whole lot of reasons. And I was informed that I was the hinge point. If I stayed, they would all stay. And if I left, they would all leave. I did so much prayer and meditation in this, and there was a huge grieving process. But I decided to take it as a blessing and an adventure, and it really has been. My life has changed in ways I never saw coming, beyond my imaginings, and I am so grateful that I was able to say yes to all of that change and bring my family out of California into a new land. So that's my story, and I can't wait to hear what my amazing panel has to share. Who would like to share next?
I really enjoyed that article that you read. The one thing that stuck out from me, and I hope I'm able to articulate this in a good way. You mentioned that the author would realize that uh, good or bad or good or evil was pretty much what she thought of it, if I understood that correctly. Um, and that made me think of the tree of knowledge of the tree in the Garden of Eden of knowledge of good and evil. Adam and Eve, it wasn't the fact that God was being a jerk and you can see the tree of good and evil, but you can't have any because then I'll punish you. Um, but essentially, uh, the knowledge of good and evil leads us to believe that we actually have uh, uh, oh wow, how can I put this? the when you're the whole point is that things happen by themselves. They're not good or evil. It's what we think of it that makes us think that it's good and evil. So if we're able to let God handle these things, then they go back to being what they actually are, which are just situations. Um, if I were to say get into an accident, the accident itself is not good or bad. It's how I perceive the accident that will help me get over it, or uh, it'll help me, yeah, basically just get over it. I hope that you guys were able to understand that. Uh, I'm gonna get somebody else go now.
Thank you, Reverend Linda. That is a great topic. And thank you, Loy. What immediately came to mind is I like to think I wear life as a loose garment. I didn't used to. It again, it's like growing up is really a process, and it's a long process. And for me, most days are kindergarten, learning learning something new, accepting something new, going inside and being still, getting out of my squirrel cage mind, um, wearing life like a loose garment. And it's like pain is a given, whether it's an accident, whether it's an emotional breakup, whether it's, I mean, there's so much. A death of someone close to us, so many things. A kid moving out of the house. Oh my gosh, there's so many. But suffering is optional. And it's like, I know I got a lot of miles for a few years out of my pain and suffering from my marriage and how bad it was, or whatever, the drama. And I don't have to have that anymore. I don't have to suffer. And yes, people close to me have gone, but the energy, their soul, their spirit is still with me. So I can wear everything, like Reverend Linda said, like a loose garment. Lessons, opportunities to grow, and then rest a lot. Because there's a lot to process just living life on life's term, and especially the world we live in today. Living life on life's terms and not getting into hardening that garment we wear, keeping it loose. Anyway, thank you, Reverend Lynn. That was great.
I'll go next. I love the title of that article, and you could have just stopped there. I think that title says it all. And yes, most of us do try to find the truth or the meaning or the lesson in the various kinds of things that happen to us. And I think that we also need to look for the lessons in what we call the good things, as well as trying to find the lessons in the bad things. Um, the the idea that we label things as good or bad, yeah, is something that, yes, we do. We make up our own heavens or hells as we move through life. And when we suffer, which many of us do, it's because I think we've stopped at the labels good and evil. And we need to move another step, as the Buddhists tell us, which is, what expectations of mine are being violated in this situation? Because that, I think, is the source of much of our pain, is that we have ideas about how things should work. And when they don't, we feel betrayed, disenfranchised, angry, a whole array of negative emotions. And I've experienced this recently in the process of retirement, which for me is complicated because I've lived in different states and worked at different schools. And so getting everybody to talk to each other has been a real challenge. And I don't know why I ever thought that retiring should be an easy process because it isn't. You used the word, well, or somebody used the word um, adventure. And when I think of being a Christian or manifesting Christ consciousness, I think that you can approach the world with a spirit of adventure. Instead of having expectations about what is going to happen, you approach everything as an adventure by saying, gee, I wonder what will happen. And that I think is a healthier point of view. Um,
Let's see. Oh, the other thing, aside from expectations, the other thing I wanted to comment on was to manifest a Christ consciousness as you go into every situation, whatever you are thinking or doing or saying, requires something else. And that is living in the now. And it is often so hard to live in the now. We think of the future when things happen to us, when we read things or see things on the news, or we spend time thinking about the past. And sometimes going down memory lane can be a very enjoyable process. But depending on what you're doing as you wander that path, you might end up bringing distress into the now. So to me, these things all go together, adventuresomeness, living in the now, being free of expectations. Uh, to me, it all goes together in wearing a loose garment. So thank you very much, Reverend Linda, for sponsoring all of this thought based on really a simple phrase.
Susan, that was beautiful. Your comment about the adventure really touched home for me because I am not one who is quick to jump in and try new things. And this gives me a new take to wear that garment a little loosely and approach things with a bit more adventure. So I really, really appreciate that. Reverend Linda, I believe that one of the things that you said was in the reading was my perceptions determine my experience. And I was so struck by that because our perceptions are shaped by our beliefs. And so often those beliefs come from things that we're conditioned into believing rather than things that are true to our heart self. And so I was thinking about this and how sometimes we have to open ourselves up to the silence, to allow the deep-seated beliefs, the erroneous beliefs, to reach truth and for us to find out in that silence what that truth is. For me, to wear the loose garment is to be less attached to this physical experience and a whole lot more open to who I am within. So thank you for this. This has been amazing.
Well, thank you all. And I believe that each of you is an example of how to wear the world as loose clothing, especially in all the crazy, chaotic stuff going on in the world right now. We can kind of latch onto that and make that our center, or we can let it go and remember that God is in it all. And we are just experiencing each moment as it comes. Thank you. I appreciate each one of you and your wonderful feedback. We appreciate you too. Without our viewers, we're not. So thank you for tuning in. And as always, if something here has struck you and you know of someone that could benefit from our videos, please share them. We benefit, they benefit. We appreciate it very much. We would love to have your comments. Every comment is replied to. And if you would like to support our ministry here by being a member or contributing to it in some other way, the information on how to reach us and how to reach the church is in the little blurb at the end. So it's coming to you now. Thanks for being with us, and goodbye.
Thank you for joining us, and let's stay connected and grow in spirit. We are on Facebook. Search for Unity Church of El Cajon and follow us and like our posts. You can reach us on YouTube at Unity Church of El Cajon. Please subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and leave comments which can help us improve. We are on the web at unityofelcajon.org. Email or call our church office to receive our weekly newsletters, which lists all of our activities and opportunities to learn and grow together.